Anyone who has had chronic back pain knows how debilitating and frightening it can be. Back pain is a top form of chronic pain in the U.S., but there are promising new methods of dealing with the pain that include psychological training. Here with more is WSJ's Laura Landro. Laura, thanks for being with us.
Hi.
So, Laura, the methods that you looked at, are these for people who've already tried everything else, like surgery, et cetera, or can anyone with back pain try these methods?
Well, I think the most important thing is everybody has back pain at some point in their life. I think something like 80% of adults at some point in their life will have back pain. But what happens is you get chronic, debilitating pain that lasts for 3 months or more or never really goes away. And I think those are the people that end up costing, the $90 billion in tests and MRIs and treatments and surgeries and drugs. And I think the idea of these functional restoration programs is to help those people who seem to have these problems on a chronic basis, like it's almost like life, trying to make your life miserable.
Absolutely. And so, Laura, what do these new approaches focus on, first in terms of exercise and stretching?
Well, I think it's taking a lot of exercises that probably you already know are good for your back under certain conditions. They're using exercises that work to enable you to function in the way you need to, whether it's working in an office, if you're someone who needs to drive a truck and sit for hours, if you're someone who needs to be really athletic and you're an athlete. Even if you're, working, just having to lift crates of paper and put them on a desk or something. The idea is to restore you to the function of your normal life and to enable you to do the things you need to do in daily activities to get around.
And not be paralyzed by often the psychological fear. It's interesting how back pain in particular is often accompanied by these psychological elements. How is this part addressed?
Well, it's called pain catastrophizing. Like, I'm so worried that it's going to hurt that I'm not going to move. So people end up really being immobilized. And what they try to do for that in programs that are, adopting some of these methods is to give you some behavioral, it's kind of like a cognitive behavioral therapy, a little psychological counseling. We know you're not going to eliminate your pain altogether, but there are some things you can do to lose that fear, to understand that if you move correctly and if you're careful and yet are still really active, that you can restore yourself to the kind of life that you want to have. You may not get rid of that pain altogether, but you're going to learn to live with it a little better.
Mm-hmm. Is there more research being done into sort of the psychological aspect of it? I mean, I have heard a theory that your spine, being an extension of your brain, resonates often with stress.
Yes, absolutely. And again, the stress and the catastrophizing come together. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of research being done. Interestingly, the VA is doing some research on veterans with chronic low back pain. There's some research going on in Durham, North Carolina. There is some research that's been done with the military, that even with young active people in the military, there's some research out of the University of Florida that showed if you did a little counseling with young veterans or young active military who were able to understand that they might not hurt themselves if they do things the right way, that they were likely to seek less health care.
Right.
So they wouldn't be going to the doctor all the time. And I think the most important thing is that researchers are beginning to understand that the combination, it's not just physical therapy alone, but it's that combination of mind and matter.
It's fascinating stuff. There was a period about 2 years ago where my husband went through chronic back pain and read this book called Mind Over Back Pain, and he swears it helped him. So it's fascinating.
There's a lot of techniques.
Now tell us about these new programs, where they're located and how much they cost.
Well, they're located in different you go to rehabilitation centers, you see a lot of these around the country. Basically, you have to ask your doctor. You kind of have to work with your doctor a little bit to kind of find these out. We looked at one at Dartmouth-Hitchcock Medical Center, which is in Lebanon, New Hampshire. And it's very interesting because, Dartmouth is very well known. It's got a medical school and it's got this big medical center. They've done a lot of very innovative things over the years. This program cost $17,000 probably for 2015. And now wow. Sounds like a lot of money, but I think their attitude is when you put that together with that's 3 weeks of intensive, therapy and exercise. And when you sort of look at what surgery cost or what constant procedures cost. And you have to remember the other issue is a lot of people end up on these narcotic painkillers. And you've got a crisis in this country with the use of those and the abuse of them. Right. And a lot of times it starts out when people are seeking out treatment for chronic pain.
So true, Laura. What kind of response did you get? You spoke to a lot of people in these programs. What did they tell you about the results they're seeing?
They were, after 3 weeks, their actual studies have shown that, the pain doesn't go away after 3 weeks, but their attitudes about it, their feeling of being able to function, their confidence to lift things, has increased like triple what it was before. So you're seeing, I think the people I spoke to were really feeling great about it. They felt that it had given them tools. And in life, dealing with pain and medical issues, a lot of times it's having the tools to cope. It's having the tools to know when this happens to me, here's how I can relax, here's how I can de-stress a little bit, here's some exercises I can do to understand that I can manage this.
Absolutely. It can often be manageable. Laura Landro, thank you so much for that.
Thank you.